Hey guys, it's Mia here, and welcome back once again to another slow show/movie review. It's been a while since I've talked to you, and welcome to the first video of 2021. Now, today we are going to be talking about the second movie to After, and that is After We Collided. Now, you probably don't remember, but I actually did a comparison/review on both the movie and the book after, but that was before I showed my lovely face, so you might not remember. Now, you guys know that I didn't particularly like After the movie, and I decided after reading After the book, I was not planning on getting any of the other books. And I still stand by the point that I am not going to get any of the other books because I feel like in doing so, I am promoting abusive, controlling, manipulative relationships, and I'm not going to do that. So I have not read After We Collided, so I am strictly going on the movie for this review. Now, I watched After We Collided last night at like 1 in the morning, so I was a little tired when I watched it, so that might have swayed my opinions just a little bit. But I think that technically wise, this movie is a lot better than After, because in After, it felt like we were constantly jumping around between scenes, and it didn't seem like anything had a correlation between it. It just seemed like we were here 1 second, then here the next second, and it just did not work for me. It was boring and confusing, and if they wouldn't have had where we were on the screen, I would not have known. But After We Collided starts off immediately where After left off, and that's where Tessa and Hardin were sitting at the lake, only it was just Hardin at the lake, and he was imagining Tessa being there with him. So Tessa is thriving. She's got this internship at a publishing house that she really wanted, and she's moving on with her life. And one day, for some reason, as soon as she gets to the internship, they're like, well, come with me to this meeting at, for some reason, a club? Not the best place to hold a business meeting, but whatever, you do you. So they go to this club. Naturally, Tessa ends up completely wasted and pulls a 50 Shades of Grey move in calling Hardin while she's drunk. And Hardin's like, Tessa, what are you doing? You're drunk. And so he, against her wishes of not coming to see her, shows up unannounced at her hotel room, having tracked her phone, or however he did it. I don't know why shows and movies think that this is cute, let alone okay. He literally tracked her down through her cell phone, or however he tracked her, and showed up unannounced where she was. If Hardin was not a hot guy, that would be creepy as hell. And face it, in the real world, if someone did that to you, tell that there's something wrong with that, I don't know what to tell you. But I feel like Twilight started something that we really need to stop, because it is getting bad. It glorified this stalkerish, controlling, manipulative relationship that is not okay. I mean, look at the show You, for example. That took place in a stalker's mind. It was meant to put perspective on how stalking in relationships is not cute, but internally creepy. These shows and movies frame them in a way that makes this kind of behavior from the significant other feel like it's okay. And it's not. And especially because these books are aimed normally to teens and to middle schoolers, that makes them think, well, if it was okay in this book, then maybe it'll be okay for me. And that is not a good message to be giving people. So that's not okay. And then Tessa, having gotten drunk, spilled wine on our other, like, Jacob character or our love interest, like our love triangle completion, because we can't have one of these movies without a damn love triangle. So, sorry, sore throat. So, he goes to clean himself up. So naturally, Tessa's like, take your clothes off. We gotta get it before it stains. And nothing happened beyond her trying to fix her mess. And then Hardin busts in out of nowhere, like that is okay, and starts demanding to know why Tessa has another man in her hotel room, which A, is none of his business because they broke up like a year ago, and B, why the hell are you showing up in her hotel room unannounced? So he proceeds to throw a hissy fit and kicks Trevor out, and then drunk Tessa over here is mad at Hardin but starts making advances at him. And he's like, no, Tessa, you're drunk, I'm not gonna do this. But then she says, either you do it with me or you leave. Those are your only two options. And Hardin, being the ever so nice guy that he is, decides, screw it, I'm gonna screw her, even though she's completely drunk and cannot consent because she's not in her right mind to give consent. He goes ahead with it, which is another not okay situation, and that's taking advantage of a physically impaired person. So that's how they get back together. Hardin stalking her to the job and then having intercourse with her in her drunk state. The getting back together was not earned. It was definitely forced because he was stalking her. So after they finally meet back up and that whole situation happens, Hardin's like, I want to be a better person for you, and it's your birthday, it's Christmas, I'm going to do all this stuff and I'm not going to complain about it. But instead, he spends his entire time with Tessa complaining that he doesn't want to do this, or this is just this, or this is stupid, or this, I can't do this, why are we doing this? And he's constantly, like, coercing her to have intercourse with him. He's constantly, like, pushing it, which is not okay. If your partner says, hey, I don't want to, you don't, at least not that time. You don't keep pushing, especially if you say right before that, I'm not going to push it. But he does anyway. Like, I don't think that Hardin cares for Tessa at all because he makes no actual commitments to show that he does care about her. It's strictly, oh, I'm gonna be an asshole for 5 minutes and then I'm gonna push you into having sex with me. Who wants a relationship like this? A relationship should not solely be made on sex. If all you have in common with the person is the fact that you want to have sex, that is not a good relationship. You have got to have more in common than one thing and sex. But they don't. They both like to read, and they're always doing it. If they're not doing it or reading together, they're arguing. That's not cute. It's not at all. And the show or the movie constantly pushes that as cute because they try to justify Hardin's anger with this tragic past, which these only work if you set up that tragic past from scene 1 of movie 1. Like, give us subtle hints, like right before he has an outburst, we see a flashback of what made him traumatized. But no, he's constantly an asshole through the first movie, and then we justify it like halfway through with this tragic past. And then it's the same way here. We know sort of about his troubled past, but it's not earned. He just blows up for no reason and then uses, oh, I have nightmares of this tragic event as an excuse. And that just kind of undermines it. If you want that to work, you have to establish that from point one. You can't just throw that in there because you want us to be sympathetic to that character. Don't use a tragic past as the reason for the character to be an asshole when we didn't even know about that tragic past until midway through the first book. It doesn't work. Either establish it before the outbursts or just make him an asshole, plain and simple. Because if you try to get me to sympathize with him after showing him being nothing but an asshole, I'm gonna say, fuck you, you're an asshole. I don't care about your troubled past. Because that troubled past does not excuse his actions, because not all of his outbursts were contributed to those flashbacks. And yes, what happened to Hardin was tragic. If it was a real person, I would be sympathetic, but it's a character, and his tragic past is done poorly, much like Christian Grey in 50 Shades, not Freed, darker. It's not earned if you do not show us the tragic events first, which was his mother being assaulted, and he saw it when he was 8. And here's another reason that does not work. Hardin uses the fact that Tessa is the reason he no longer has nightmares. And when she's away from him, those nightmares come back. That is not love. You cannot use your emotions against someone to keep them in a relationship. That is manipulation at its finest. That's like saying, and I don't condone this at all, that's like saying, if you leave, I will kill myself. You're hanging your mental state, you're hanging your life over your significant other's heads in order to keep them in a relationship that they know is not good for them. If you are in these type of relationships, you need to either get out, or if you're too afraid to get out alone, find someone willing to help you get out of them. Because a lot of times these end up with the other person dead. And I've watched enough detective shows and real life cases where this same exact scenario ends up with the other dead. These relationships are not cute. They are damaging for you, damaging for the one you're with. They don't care about you if they use their life and their mental state to keep you in that relationship. Yes, it's okay to talk about issues with your significant other. Yes, it's okay if they make you feel better in those issues. It is not okay to hang them over your significant other's head as a way to keep them there. And I feel like Twilight started this trend that we really need to nip in the bud, because people are genuinely starting to think that these relationships are okay. And it is for these reasons, mainly, that I did not like the movie. I mean, it was technically better than after, with the way the shots were more fluid. The acting, at least from Tessa, was better. Dylan Sprouse did a pretty good job, although there were some parts where he seemed like he just saw this as a paycheck and didn't really want to be there. But all in all, I feel like these movies and these type of books present a real issue because they are made for younger audiences, like middle school and high school, where we are most vulnerable as people. And so if these relationships keep getting glorified, then more and more people are going to think that these type of relationships are okay and that there's nothing wrong with it. And as long as I give them good sex, they will stay with me. That is not a good way to be. That's not. And if that's the only reason they think that they're in love with you, then you also need to leave. Excuse me. And the fact that Tessa vehemently forgives Hardin when he did nothing to earn it is baffling to me, because she flat knows she was absolutely wronged. I mean, he dated her for a bet to see if he could take her womanhood from her, or whatever you want to say. And she honestly admits how disgusting and how downtrodden that is of him. She knows that's disgusting. She knows that wasn't right. But then, he showed up out of nowhere. He decided he wanted to do me again. I love him again now. He did nothing to earn that relationship besides give her a Kindle. Whoop-de-doo. Go buy one yourself. In short, I'm just getting so sick of these type of romance stories because they're not romance. If anything, they're a manual on how relationships should not be acted. Not a way of, I want that relationship. They should teach you what you shouldn't want. But people go the exact opposite and say, I want that. And it's kind of gross. So that's my opinions on After We Collided, and I do not care how many of you ask me. I am not going to read After We Collided and do a review on that. I don't use Wattpad anymore because they started becoming money grubby because they have their own studio now, and the app is just not as good as it used to be because they made a bunch of changes. And I'm not going to get the books because, like I said, I do not support these type of relationships, and I think these kinds of books needs to be nipped in the bud. And the less people that buy them, the better. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to watch my old After review, I'll find a way to link it either up there or down there. So, see you guys in the next video. Bye!